Welcome to part 2 of this video on how to become a more adaptive leader. If you haven't seen part 1, do take a look at it before you dive into this second part. We've been exploring what is adaptive leadership, why is it necessary, and we're now thinking about what qualities are needed as an adaptive leader. And we're on to number 3. Lead a learning process. We don't have to have all the answers. In fact, we never will have all the answers in the sort of context in which we're leading. But we do need to engage other people in learning. Now is not the time to be a solo operator, a leader on our own. In fact, the New Testament would encourage us never to do that. Fascinating, isn't it, that Paul uses the phrase synergo 26 times in the New Testament to speak about his co-workers, those he led with. And biblically, leadership is plural, not solo. Well, we need to lead with others because they'll bring things that we don't bring, and it reflects something about us being in the body of Christ. We need one another in order to lead well. So what this means is that along with others, we think hard about how to learn in our current context. We ask some of the fundamental questions. Who are we? Why do we exist? Where is God calling us to go? And as we explore those fundamental questions, we begin to discern answers that are appropriate and relevant for our time. As we hold on to hope in the middle of all the uncertainty and mess that might be around us, and we see our changing context not as a blockage, but as an opportunity. An opportunity for us to be refined by the Spirit of God in our understanding of who we are, why we're here, and where God is calling us to go. Quality 3, lead a learning process so that together we discern where God is taking us. Quality number 4 is commitment to personal transformation. We can't lead a process like this unless we're prepared to change ourselves. We have to model learning and growth ourselves. And that will then enable others around us to see how important learning and growth is. So much is caught from the leader as much as it is taught. So for example, as we think about how to share our faith in our current context, I've certainly had to relearn how to do that in a post-Christian world. A very different world to the world in which I used to share my faith 20 or 30 years ago. It's been a fascinating process of learning and failing and making mistakes and learning again. And I've sought to do that in order that I might engage well with those around me who aren't as yet Christians. Quality number 4 is a commitment to our own personal transformation, our own growth and learning. Quality number 5 is the courage to press on through resistance. If there is no resistance, then probably no real change is taking place. And in that sense, when we encounter resistance, it is our friend. It's telling us that real change is being grappled with. And so we need to engage with that resistance, to press on, but without bulldozing people. Those of you who are petrol heads will know Jeremy Clarkson of Top Gear fame. Whenever he gets into a situation where there is problems, he just simply says, "More power!" Well, that won't do for us as Christian leaders. It's not a matter of just more power, of pressing through, of bulldozing our way. No, when we encounter resistance, we want to engage those who are expressing resistance in love, care, by asking questions that they may help us to understand why they're struggling. But nonetheless, we will press on. If together we have discerned where God is leading, we will follow with courage and confidence that He is the one who is leading us on our way. We can engage, listen, and learn through the resistance, but we must persevere. And quality number 6 is a deep faith in God, that this is His world, His church, His mission, His story. I suppose fundamentally the question we're asking there is this: do we really believe that Jesus is Lord? Because if we do, then we will embrace the reality that it is His church and He will build it, not our job. And it's His mission. He will do it. We simply join in with him. We need to begin to trust deeply in God and his ability to be about his work in his world at this time in his way. And in God we can trust. The history of the church shows that to us. Well, the fourth question I want to ask is this: how do we become more like this as a leader? And just a couple of things to sum up. We become more like this as a leader by locating ourselves in God, in the riches of God, but also locating ourselves in the resources of the church, both past and present, drawing on the rich wisdom of the church from the past, faithful engagement with the scriptures, prayerful dependence on the Spirit. And then we also locate ourselves in relationships with colleagues. We don't do this on our own. We're going off the map. We don't know exactly how the journey is going to pan out. In fact, it's only as we start the journey that we'll discover how it's going to work. We can't plan it all in advance. But if we are located in the riches of God, the resources of the church, and relationships with colleagues, we're going to be in a much better place. And here's the other thing we do. We practice the 3 L's. We learn. We read, we watch, we listen, we talk. We learn. We learn everything about our context and what God is calling us to. Secondly, we listen. We listen to what God is doing. We listen to those in the community we're called to serve. We listen to our people amongst whom we serve. And in that listening together, we'll discern more clearly God's way. And we lead. We lead by taking small steps, recognizing that we cannot plot out the whole journey, but we can take the next step on the journey to find the way on the way as we grow through the journey itself. Well, there are lots of good resources around to help us become more adaptive leaders. I'd love to recommend Tom Bolsinger's book, Canoeing the Mountains, and also Susan Beaumont's book, How to Lead When You Don't Know Where You're Going. They're packed full of ideas to help us grow as adaptive leaders. And of course, the reason why we're prepared to do this, the reason why we want to become more adaptive leaders, is because we believe that God is at work in his world and amazingly wants to use us as part of that. He wants his church to be about his mission and ministry in the world today so that children and young people, women and men of all ages may become disciples of Jesus. And whilst the pandemic season may have challenged us hugely, it has also been a time of great opportunity. Let's make the most of the learning through that pandemic season, and let's continue to commit ourselves to learning how to become more adaptive leaders.